You can even cook the same exact food as last year's holiday party, but if you serve it in a different way, then everything is more exciting, everything is unique, and everything is more fun. It's the 9 service styles of holiday parties today on the Carefree Cooks Code. I'm Chef Todd Moore, and this is the Carefree Cooks Code, every Tuesday live at noon Eastern. Here's our challenge. How can home cooks cook freely with creativity, confidence, and pride while ignoring recipes and still impressing themselves and others with what they cook? Well, the answer is found in becoming empowered with how cooking works, using dependable and repeatable methods of cooking that work for any ingredient, for any diet, and any desire, just like chefs do. And we'll know we've cracked it when everyone sees cooking as an exciting and rewarding way to improve their relationships, their lifestyles, and their health through better food and cooking. This is the Carefree Cooks Code. Boom! Welcome back to the Carefree Cooks Code, everyone. We are live every Tuesday at noon Eastern. Well, most of the time. If this surprises you, you should go to webcookingclasses.com/live and register for my alert system, because I'll send out an alert. Because we're the Carefree Cooks, right? We create our own recipes. We bring our family and friends together, and no better time than this time of year to exercise that tenet of being a carefree cook. We learn every time we cook, so that's why it's a progressive journey. And then you start defining your own cooking style because you're practicing pro methods, and you wind up really loving your cooking. That's the thing. And this is the time of year for it. People tell me how much they love entertaining this time of year. It's good. It's another benefit of it. Today I've got a What Am I for you. Here you are. Another kitchen gadget. It is, I don't know. Tell me in the comments section below, what is that thing? It looks like it's a lever, and I don't know. If you've seen something like that before, tell me in the comments section below. It's the What Am I, where we pull out kitchen gadgets, things like that. All right, good. We're back together live today. I'm so glad. I want you to know that I take my commitment to you very, very seriously. We started this journey together. Web cooking classes started in 2009, my first video in 2008, so this is getting to be 11 plus years. But this particular segment where we spend Tuesdays together, it started in March 2018, March 16th as a matter of fact, when I started producing a live class every Tuesday. We do it again at noon Eastern. Back then it was called Tuesday Talk Live, but I didn't want it to be just talking. That's not very exciting, and it didn't really capture what we were trying to do. We had a movement going. We weren't just talking. We were trying to break some kind of code. We were trying to figure out things that other people don't. So it became the Carefree Cooks Code, and this is the 84th episode that I've produced for you. I've only missed 3 out of 84. And anytime I miss one, it's always because I'm traveling, because of internet difficulties and things like that. So thank you. Thank you for your patience last week. I was traveling throughout Mexico. I had trouble with the internet. I tried to post a video at least that we could get together and watch, and then I messed it up, or Facebook messed it up or something. Anyway, I want you to know I take my commitment to you very seriously, and we're going to strengthen that even further in 2020. I've got a lot of plans. I've got new cool things that are coming up. You just wait. So being only a few hours off the plane from Mexico, I'm here today because I wanted to make sure that we did get in as many classes toward the end of the year. You can see I look like I've been stranded on an island somewhere. But hey, that's okay, because I would be the one in the back of the house, not the one serving. And today we came to talk about the 9 service styles and how I've used them really in my professional and my cooking careers, my professional and at home. So even when I've done parties for thousands and thousands of people, I might use the same thing that I do for my neighborhood parties. So let's talk about the service styles for holiday parties, the things that you could potentially use to impress your friends, family, coworkers, things like that. So you might even cook the same thing. And I'm going to give you some examples today of the progression of items, how we alter an item depending on the service style. How we don't want to give away the answer. The first one is American style. Now, I think a lot of people would recognize American style whenever you go to a restaurant, because this is food individually plated in the kitchen and then brought out to the diners. It's just about any restaurant that you go to, and we call this American style. And of course, there are advantages and disadvantages to all of these styles that I'm going to talk to you about today. The advantage of the American style is portion control and the fact that you can make up the plate, the appearance, So you've heard me in my holiday cooking success course, and over many, many years, I talk to people about doing plate up for like Thanksgiving or a holiday meal. This is American service, and we're going to talk about, again, advantages and disadvantages. I don't love putting all the food on the table and just letting people have at it. I think the portion control and appearance of the plate helps you with an American style, but the disadvantage is the time it takes to make everybody's plate, the space that you need. You need a big table to lay out 10 or 12 plates and assemble them, right? If you try and do them one at a time, it takes twice as long, trust me. You also need hot holding space. So, if you're cooking things in casserole, you can dump it on the table and do a different style. But if you want to do plate up, you got to make sure the mashed potatoes stay hot and the string beans stay hot as you're putting the 10 or 12 plates together. So American is your basic restaurant. The second most people would know is a buffet. This is really simple. You put all the foods out, you display all the prepared foods, and guests go have at it. I could tell you, as a caterer, as many, many years owning a catering company and doing very large catering gigs in different positions that I held, as the chef on the other end, you just hate to see people touching the food. I don't know, maybe it's just me, but you have your nice food and it is picked through and portioned through. Some of the complaints that I have about potluck parties that we talked about a few weeks ago, I don't like a buffet necessarily because of the appearance of the food, but I'll tell you what, it's really easy to do. The advantage of the buffet is you got big pans of food and you just put it out there. Plus, you don't have to worry about the hot holding. You don't have to worry about the plates getting cold in an American service, which, by the way, plates always hot in an American service, but you don't have to worry about any of that. But you have no control over the portions. You have no control over the plate appearance, things that really get to a chef. And, there's a lot of waste in a buffet also. It's like people used to come to me in my catering company, say for a wedding or something, and they would ask if I would charge half as much for children. Like, what do you charge for children? I was like, oh, no. I charge the same amount per person no matter what, because I know children don't eat as much, but I'm absolutely sure they take as much from the buffet. I have seen children, take mounds of food and pick through it. I've seen adults do that as well. But the point is, you don't have the portion control. So, you might have your food cost might go up under a buffet. The next thing to consider, if you want to control the food and if you want to control the appearance of the food, is an interactive buffet. And this is where there's a display of prepared foods, but there's either a chef behind it spooning it out for them. There's somebody helping them assemble the plate. Sometimes there are buffets. If you've been on a cruise ship, you might have somebody not allow you to touch the plate until you get to your table. They will take a plate, sir, what would you like? You see this, you put a portion of that, you put a portion of that, you sit down, you don't touch the plate. And in a lot of cultures, that's very, very polite, that you should not be assembling your own food. Now, the advantage of this, obviously, portion control. I used to love doing this when I was a chef because of the interaction with the people. And I think if you're doing a wedding, if you're doing a large event, if you're doing a holiday party, and even if you hired a friend that had a pair of black pants, white shirt, and a bow tie, just to do a lot of yes, sirs, and thank you, ma'ams, and can I help you with this? It reflects on the party a lot. So if you have some interaction, but of course, the disadvantage is just that. You're going to ask your friends to work your holiday party for you. They'll be like, why don't I get an invite? You're asking me to work at, look, call a temp agency then or something, or get a kid, put them to work at the holidays. They get enough gifts, right? So the disadvantage is that obviously it takes some labor and also takes some skill if somebody's going to be behind there. Things like a carving station. We used to do stir fry stations. When I think about when I had my catering company, one of the coolest things that we used to do was our interactive stir fry stations. And we had an entire menu of them because the first thing I did, I think, was a pasta stir fry station. And it was so popular. I was like, well, how many different ways can I get a something stir fry station on my menu? People love the interaction. And the pasta stir fry station, let me see here. Hi, the pasta stir fry station, while we're talking about it, was portable burners, portable butane burners, and we would have, I think, a choice of penne pasta, ravioli, or fettuccine, cooked, par-cooked, shocked, and cold. Then we would have a red sauce, a white sauce, like an Alfredo, and a red sauce, and they got choices of ham and shrimp and pepperoni, and you get the idea of an interactive station. But the wedding, I always knew that it was getting a little later in the night and people were drinking, because the joke I used to like to play on people was they would say, sir, and I've worked a lot of these stations, trust me. I say, sir, we have a white sauce, and they would look down at the bain marie of white sauce. We have a red sauce. I would see them look down at the bain marie of red sauce, of white sauce. I'd say, and we have a pink sauce. And they would look down and they wouldn't see the pink sauce. And I knew how much they maybe had drank if they looked at me quizzically. And I would look at them and they would look at me. And I would look down at the red sauce. I would look up at them. I would look down at the white sauce. I would look at them again, trying to get them to get it, that the pink sauce was a little bit of the red sauce and a little bit of the white sauce. That was the whole idea. But people loved the pasta station. So that turned into, a stir fry station of chicken or shrimp with noodles and soy sauce. One of the coolest things we did was a cake fry station. This I thought was revolutionary. We would cook off pound cake, put a lot of egg in it so that when you cubed it, it really stayed in control, in good shape. So imagine pound cake cubes, and then we would put butter in a saute pan, and you're sauteing pound cake cubes in butter, so they're getting toasty and brown and crunchy now. And then we had chocolate sauce, strawberry sauce, whipped cream, and at the adult parties, we'd put a little brandy on there and flambe it, with the flame up, put those drenched, caramelized pound cake cubes onto a plate, soak it with chocolate sauce and strawberry and ice cream. People would freak. And yeah, granted, it was delicious, but half of the fun for them, and I think for me, was being able to talk, going back and forth, that interaction, which is really a big benefit of the interactive buffet. But the fact that you need the labor to do it was a problem as well. Omelet stations, carving stations, things like that are interactive buffets. The next one is Butler Service. And most of the weddings you've been to, if there's a cocktail party before, guests will serve themselves from a platter that's brought around by a waiter. So there's a guy walking around the cocktail reception. Usually this is the stand-up cocktail party, with the high top tables. And a guy comes over and he shoves a tray under your nose, and you ask what it is, and you take one off with a napkin or a toothpick, and you carry on with your conversation. Please don't talk with your mouth full, though. Waiters hate to see that, I know. But the advantage here is the portion control, and you have massive portion control of this as the host of your holiday party or as the caterer, because I'm only going to make 100 of them. We're going to pass them around, and when they're gone, they're gone. Then we'll make 100 franks and blankets or something and pass them around. I can control exactly how much. It's not that they eat until they're full. They eat until I don't serve them anymore. And again, an advantage of the interaction. People love to talk, describe what the item is. Oh, the chef put this together. The sauce is the this and that. Yes, in your own holiday party as well. And you don't have to hire anyone to do this, but imagine your pride when your mini chicken Wellingtons, like I show you how to make, come out of the oven, you put them on a nice platter, and you as the host or hostess, you walk around your holiday party and offer it to people. And you get to say hello to everyone yourself that way instead of hiding in the kitchen. If you become the butler, it opens up the conversation for sure. But of course, that disadvantage is the labor. And also there's a limit to the items. You can't put 6 items on a tray and ask people to choose one of the 6. They'll stand there, thinking about it. There's just got to be one. So there's really a limit to a lot of those things. The 5th kind is called English service. And English service is when food is plated for each diner at the table by the host. And this is the American Thanksgiving. All right, Dad stands up, whoosh, 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 with the sharpening steel and the knife, which really does nothing, but it looks fancy, I guess. And he will carve the turkey at the table, fill a plate, and pass the plate down. This is called English table service. Now, the advantage of this is Dad puts the plate together. He gives you a piece of turkey, and then there's the potatoes. Sis will give you a scoop of potatoes, and so on. There is a nice presentation to it if Dad knows how to carve a turkey. I have friends that it looks more like a bear got at it, to be honest. But so they might not want to do English service because the disadvantage is the skill level. You got to be able to carve or scoop or at least make a nice presentable plate. And it is time consuming. If you have 10 or 12 people at your table, the first person's food might be getting cold by the time the 10th person gets there. So there's a disadvantage to that as well. But, there are a lot of examples of the ways that you can use these things to your advantage. I'll tell you another story. When I had my cooking school, when we had the cooking school, not only did we have classes in the cooking school where people would come and I would teach. That's how this whole thing started, like 12 years ago, 14 years ago or so. But one of the really cool things, because we had the catering company and the really big catering hall for weddings, we started a thing called Supper Club. Supper Club was really, really fun because I would put a menu together, a themed menu, and it was team building, say corporate team building or ladies' night out or guys' night together, whatever the guys' night is, version of that. And then we would produce all this food together. I would do a little demonstration. One team would have to do one item. One team would do the sauce. One team would do something else. And we would have everybody eventually put the food together at the end. And with all the food displayed on the table, the pride that they had in having cooked it, and they would always be, "Oh, Joe, you did the beans? Oh, man, those beans look great." Or, "Oh, wow, God, the caramelization on that," because they're using my words by then, right? "The caramelization on that pork loin is fantastic." Or we did a total seafood one time in the summer. It was really, really great. And what this is when you put all the food on the table and everybody kind of picks at it, it's family style. It's food for the entire family. Enough food is presented at once, probably on a platter or on serving dishes, that everybody helps themselves and you pass it around. So this was a combination of, Supper Club was so much fun because it was a combination of cooking together and then sitting down and enjoying it. When we did our cooking retreats, when our friends like Joey Sedano and Paul Claps and just so many others joined us there, it was the same type of thing. Like we would cook together and sit down, and it was just so much fun. And the advantage is that it's really easy. The diners have their choice. They can choose how much potatoes, how little potatoes. It's no service whatsoever. It goes really from the kitchen to the table. Now, I used to joke when we had the catering company that it was the easiest gig for me because I got somebody else to cook their own dinner. Now, it's not true because we had to do all the prep and set everything up and do the dishes, but nonetheless, I probably preferred teaching than cooking. So the fact that I could teach someone to cook their own dinner and we all sit down together was really, really cool. Supper club was really, really cool. The disadvantage of this is, again, portion control. You don't have a lot of control over how much mashed potatoes. And, this is why if you're sitting around a large holiday table and you got a big eater to your right, let's say it's Uncle Joe. Uncle Joe's to your right, and Uncle Joe's a big eater, and the children are to your left. Pass the mashed potatoes to your left. Don't let your biggest eater have the first hit on this thing of mashed potatoes. He'll take half of them, right? And plus, you don't get to control presentation when people make up their own plates and just pile things high. Then when you start getting a little fancier with French service, now you want to make something really fancy at your holiday party. How about preparing something, often from a raw state, not state of the country, that it's uncooked, tableside by the server. So now let's think about a way that you could really fit this into one of your holiday parties. Maybe there's a ice cream sundae that you put together. It doesn't have to be necessarily cooked food. Let's say that you do a paella, you're warming paella. You could do a Caesar salad for everyone at the table side. Things that give a little bit more interaction, things that give a little bit more entertainment. The cart, by the way, this used to be a word of the day in my culinary school classes. It's called a guéridon. That cart they'll wheel out. They'll do lobster thermidor in front of you. They'll do steak Diane is another classical preparation that if you go to like a really fancy big city restaurant, they'll do steak Diane with sherry or brandy and flame it for you. And I'll tell you the way that I do this, not necessarily at the holidays, December time for me, but when we have our family vacation at the beach, I will do the same type of thing like paella or a seafood boil. It's not really tableside, it's picnic tableside, but it is our large stock pot next to the table where I'm constantly adding things and building flavors. You could call that a French style. So the advantage of this is, oh la la, like anything French is very fancy schmancy. It's very impressive if you are assembling things at the table side or gather people around and, say, hey, I can't play the guitar, but let me show you how I make this dish, and it makes it really cool. The disadvantage is you got to have the skill and you got to have the equipment to do this as well. You have to have the portable butane burners. Years ago, I was invited. This was one of the coolest things that I did. Years ago, I was invited to a steeplechase. It was a horse race, right, where the horses jump over things. I hadn't seen it before, but they were going to do like a tailgating type thing, and I knew it was kind of fancy. I wasn't just going to bring a covered dish or macaroni salad or anything like that. I brought my portable butane burners, and I sat there and did shrimp stir fry. I think it was a shrimp scampi. That's what I did. Everybody else trying to cook things on a barbecue grill, but it looked really cool that I wore my chef whites that day, that their thing at the steeplechase had a guy doing saute, tossing things in a pan, flambeing, getting the flame high in the pan and so on. That was a lot more impressive, and it's just a different way to serve something that you might not be as impressive. You get the idea. 8th of the 9 service styles is Russian service, and this is when food is plated from a platter by waitstaff at the table. So you might have seen this on a cruise. Very often on a cruise ship, you'll sit down at the table and someone will come with a platter, with a platter. A waiter with a platter. Is a waiter with a platter a plater? Okay, anyway, a guy with a plate on his forearm, and on it will be slices of meat, bits of vegetables, bits of potatoes, perhaps, and he will assemble your plate for you at the table. The advantage is that it's impressive. It's really cool. Everybody gets served individually. People get to pick which piece or which one or how much they want, and you control the portions as well. People can't just scoop from a buffet. But again, you need some skill, you need some labor, and similar to English style, people are getting a plate one at a time, clockwise around the table. Last guy's plate might be getting cold. So the way to overcome that is synchronized service. And if you have been to any of the fanciest things or seen baked Alaska served on a cruise ship, this is when 8 or 10 waiters at a time all stand right behind the seated diners, and sometimes with a little click of the maitre d' like that, or the pop of the mouth, or just a hut, and they go like that, make a sound. Everybody simultaneously drops that plate in front of the table, takes one step back. It's really, really impressive. It's really cool. You, of course, get to control the portions. You know, you've got those covered plates. The top metal thing is called a clutch, as a matter of fact. So your plate clutch is keeping it warm and covered. You do the et voila and uncover it in front of somebody, and it's really cool. But again, you need the labor. I mean, you need pretty much one server per person there, right? It makes it really, really difficult. So those are your 9 service styles for holiday parties, like a restaurant American. Let them have at it at the buffet. You know, you're going to go up in food cost, but you go down in labor. You can do an interactive buffet, which is half and half. You go up in labor, but you go down in food cost, and you add that interactive element. You can butler and pass your hors d'oeuvres, you know, being able to really control it, and you've got an interactive amount. That's great for cocktail parties. Do English service, where you stand up and you make a grand toast before you start to carve or clink the glasses, and then you magnanimously give all the plates to everyone. Do family style, where you just put it in the middle and ring a bell. Have at it. You can do French style, where you prepare tableside. Ooh la la, very schmancy fancy. Russian style, where someone comes and serves you from a prepared platter over your shoulder. Or synchronized, where you go get all 10 of your friends to serve the other 10 of your friends. We could have multi-synchronized holiday meals, things like that. So those are your 9 holiday service styles for parties. So, you know, like I said, you could take the same dish as you did last year, but serve it in a different way. And let me tell you about the progression of this, because this is how so many of these things came up. This, what I just taught you, is a culinary college class. I used to do the production arm of a 9 service styles class. So we did the food production, and in culinary college, they're training, I used to call them waiters, but okay, to be fair, it's hospitality training, but they were waiters, okay? Front of the house, back of the house. So when they were doing a certain style, we had to produce the food in that style, on platters, or plate up, or buffet. You get the idea? So this is where this idea came to me, that you could do this at home. When I had my catering company, we used to do a flank steak carving station. Okay, beef tenderloin's expensive, and to be honest, a lot of times I think it's overrated. Flank steak takes on a great marinade, and you can slice it really nicely. So we had a flank steak carving station. But then a client came to me, and they were going to be in a hotel room for an evening conference. They needed to get it done quick, you know. So carving station's going to be slow. We put the flank steak on a buffet, sliced up. People take their own. Great. So then we had a sit-down dinner where people wanted it played up, flank steak American style. And eventually someone came to me. They were like, "We love that flank steak so much, but we want an hors d'oeuvres party." So we made a mini flank steak sub. Sliced flank steak, you take a roll, you rip it open. We had some horseradish sauce. You stuff the flank steak in it. It's a 2-bite appetizer. That's how you're constantly progressing these things toward the style that you want them to be, matching them to where you want to go. Whether you're taking a propane burner to do saute at the tailgate party, whether you're going to do a carving station or a pasta station, or make mini chicken Wellingtons instead of a large beef Wellington. It's all the ways that you can change the service style, even if it's the same food this holiday season. Then you have a really cool, unique party, right? And that's what we're all about as Carefree Cooks, is bringing the social element of cooking into it as well. It's the dish of the week. Let's see who is using different service styles, right? Because that's the point today. The first one is Hamid. Hamid made little individual creme brulees for people. It was beautiful. He posted a video of caramelizing the top of it. So this would be an American type service, an a la carte. Everybody gets a little creme brulee. Really cool. Tom spent the day skewering foods, it looks like, because he took a trip and he came back with a food find, right? This is how we do our food finds. He came back with a food find for yakitori. So he skewed these up, and now he can either lay them out on a buffet, or he could even do French style, right? If he had a hibachi, he'd be grilling them right at the table side. So is Japanese tableside cooking really French style? For another day. Hey, look what Mia is up to. Oh my goodness. She made this amazing holiday dinner with a combination of American style, giving each person this really nice little salad in a martini glass. And then she did family style when the platters came out, and the platters are so nicely garnished. Nicely done, Mia. Really good. Paul did a pasta al forno for dinner guests. He got it really nice and caramely brown under the broiler there. And when you think of English service, I know I talked about somebody standing there carving a roast or carving a turkey, but it doesn't always have to be some guy carving a turkey. This is a great idea, like a large pasta casserole as people pass their plates to Paul at the head of the table, passing it up, That's English service as well. It doesn't have to be carving to share with people, right? That's what it's all about this time of year, is carefree cooking. The what am I today? If you guessed, it was a nutcracker. Holiday time of year, I had to pick out a nutcracker. I own one of these, as a matter of fact. It's a lever kind of thing. You put the nut in there, pull down on the lever. It's a nutcracker for the holiday season for you. Hey, look, if you know someone that would love to change the way that they're serving their holiday parties, maybe you've been invited to the same party again and again, well, surreptitiously, or obviously, like or share this video with them, please. It helps us, it helps Facebook, and it helps your friend that's going to do it as well. Hey, look, if you're serious about wanting to create the best holiday meal ever with precision and confidence, and maybe use a really cool new service style as well, go ahead and register for my new for 2019 Holiday Cooking Success class. I'm going to show you how to plan, how to cook, how to bake, how to coordinate, how to use leftovers effectively. Go to webcookingclasses.com/success and hold your spot in the next class. So until next Tuesday, where we're going to take the next few steps toward breaking the Carefree Cook's Code. This is Chef Todd Moore reminding you that there's a method to your holiday cooking success. We'll see you then. Bye, everyone.